What's up, guys? Second Survival here. Welcome back to another Bleach Rebirth of Souls video. With the roster seemingly done with no character trailer this Monday, I figured now would be a good time to maybe start my first tier list on which characters I'm most excited to play, which characters I'm going to be maining, and then on the flip side of that, which characters I'm maybe not as excited for. So this is going to be my first tier list video with the 32 confirmed characters, and I might slide in Danga Ichigo in there as well, because it seems like he's basically confirmed, but not really. So sit back, relax, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who are you going to be maining? What are you most excited for? Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if at all you want to. And without further ado, let's just get into it. It's going to be more of a chillaxed video as we kind of look back at all the confirmed characters so far. And I'm kind of figuring this out in real time too, taking a look back at all the confirmed characters and figuring out maybe who I want to play versus who I don't want to play. So we're just on Tier Maker right now, the classic website for all your tier list making needs. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't know why I just went into that, but let me move my webcam out of the way so that you can see all the tiers here. We have main 100%. These are characters that are going to be in my top handful of characters I know I'm going to play. I'm probably going to main these characters. I mean, I don't think I'm going to have a definitive, like, one main, but I think I'll rotate between probably 3 to 5 characters. Obviously, starting off with one character, getting really good as them, and then as I kind of get more and more comfortable with the game, with that character, I'll maybe slowly branch out, kind of how I do in Mortal Kombat. And then we have Really Excited, who, you know, a little bit below that top 5, top 3, whatever. These will be the characters that I kind of secondary if I just want to switch up from something that I'm not super comfortable with, or just is a different type of playstyle that I'm maybe not super consistent with, that I just, you know, swap to every now and then. Looks Good, I think, is where we get into a tier where I probably like watching them, or I like what they do, but I don't know if I'll ever go and learn the character myself. And then Neutral is kind of more of that, but less. I don't even really care to watch them, or they just don't really look that interesting to me, but they're not bad by any means. They're just kind of somewhere in the middle of all that, like not super crazy, not bad at all. And then Not So Sure, we have maybe characters that I'm just, I don't really like how they are portrayed in the game, or I'm just not super interested, but maybe I like watching people play them if they're really good with them or something. And then Don't Want to Play is just, you know, the bottom of the barrel, just like, I don't like watching them, I don't want to play them, I'll never touch them. We'll see if any characters fall into that tier. I'm not sure if any character is that bad to where I'm just like, fuck this character. But yeah, let's just get started. So we're going to go in order. I think these are put in order from release trailer. So starting with Shikai Ichigo. I mean, I don't want to just put him straight in neutral, because he's going to be like the starter character, I believe. But, you know, I think Looks Good is a good place for him, because he does look good. He looks like he's pretty strong all around. I am surprised, and maybe he does, and I just haven't seen like his signature moves, but I don't think he has just like a Getsuga Tensho. I remember his spiritual pressure move is like a spinning of his Shikai that he like slams into the ground, and then he has a follow-up attack. And if I remember correctly, the trailer for this, since it was the first character trailer that came out, just kind of went over reverse actions and the simple mechanics of the game, not necessarily too much about him as a character, just because I don't think there will be too much super special about him. But I do also know that when he's in reverse action, he does get to take another stock with his Keycone move. So that's something a little bit interesting. I wouldn't say I'm like super excited to play Shikai Ichigo, especially when Bankai and potentially Dangai Ichigo are on the roster as well. But, you know, if I want to throw it back to the classics, then yeah, that'll be sick. I do like that in his Awakening, when he has Bankai, when he's using reverse, he gets the partial hollow mask. That's a nice little touch. But yeah, on to Rukia. And if you know me, you know I love Rukia. one of my favorite characters in the actual source material. The most like shown progression of a Soul Reaper. So I'm glad that she's in this game. I'll say I'm less excited now to potentially play her than I was when I saw her character trailer. When I saw her, I was like, oh, she's kind of like a combo queen. But, you know, comparatively to some of the other characters that we've seen, like Grimmjow or Haribel, she's not super like combo-y, but she seems like she's going to be pretty well-rounded in terms of like having some range, having some up close. So she seems, again, like a pretty simple character, just maybe a step up from Ichigo. So I'm not going to say really excited, but I think another looks good sounds good to me. Definitely not neutral about her. I think she looks good. Chad, believe it or not, I think out of the core four, being Ichigo, Rukia, Chad, and Uryu, I think Chad is the first person I got genuinely hyped about, and I couldn't even tell you why. There's just something about a dude in a game with all these other Soul Reapers that just punches the shit out of people that I get really excited about. And I like Chad as a character. He's definitely done dirty in the source material. So I'm just excited to see him be able to actually use his abilities and go all out, because he's had maybe like 3 fights in all of Bleach, and they're all kind of subpar. I would say the one versus the Arankar is his best fight. So I'm just excited to actually use his abilities and just get in there and punch the shit out of people. Like, no swords, just get in there. So I'm actually going to put Chad in really excited. I know when Chad's trailer came out, I was like, I'm maining Chad, but I didn't know what other characters were going to be announced at the time. I still think he has potential to maybe go in my top 5, depending on how he feels to play. But we'll just have to wait and see. We have Uryu next, and had this been, you know, Thousand Year Blood War Uryu, or I'm not sure if it could have just been like a later form of Uryu, he might have been placed a little higher. I mean, he's definitely like the zoner, you know, obviously. He doesn't have as many, if I remember his character trailer properly, which I could be not doing that. He doesn't use as many like Quincy gadgets as I think he could have, and it's just more instead zoning, getting away from the opponent, which obviously you want to do, but at some point I wonder like how cool will that be in the long run? You know, I'm interested to see other people play Uryu to see what kind of like combos and stuff he can do. But I think as far as me, as much as I like Uryu as a character, I think he's going to be my first neutral, because he's cool, but he's a zoner. I kind of like rushdown characters or big, slow characters that do big damage. I like good zoning as an option, but I don't think I like pure zoning characters. And obviously he's not going to be pure zoning, but he's definitely like the biggest zoner, I think, on the cast. So he's my first neutral pick in this video. And then next we have Renji. Renji, I used to hate Renji's guts, just in general. I used to really dislike Renji as a character. He has climbed my list of favorite characters at like an exponential rate. I don't know what it is. I've been a real big Renji fan as of late. Obviously, we're not going to have any Thousand Year Blood War arc stuff where he gets really cool, but I do retrospectively like Renji a lot more. So honestly, I think he's probably so far at the top of looks good. I don't think I'm as excited for him as Chad. It's crazy that Chad's topping all these people in the tier list right now, but I think he's at the top of looks good. Can I place that in front of Ichigo? Can I? Okay, let's just do that. I don't know if I'm going to stick to keeping them ordered on the list, because already I think I would do that, like Rukia ahead of Ichigo, but I'm not sure if like they're going to be ordered in the tier. I'm probably just going to slot him in the tier, but we'll see what happens. So far, Chad's staying on top, boys. Can't even imagine Chad losing. But next, we got Kisuke Urahara, the boy, the GOAT, the trainer of Ichigo. Obviously, really hyped for him, but obviously, again, not Thousand Year Blood War arc stuff, so he can't use a lot of his super cool stuff. But I still think, regardless, he does look super cool, super chillax. I'm surprised that they were able to adapt him so well with the abilities that he has versus what was shown in the Arankar arc. Um, I think they did a really good job with Kisuke's character. I would say he's definitely looks good. I'm not sure if he's above or below Renji. I'm going to put him. I'm going to put him above Rukia, below Renji for now. We'll see if that sticks like that. And then here we go. Probably my first character in the main 100% category, we have Yoruichi. I think Yoruichi, the first time I saw gameplay of her, I said, yep, this is one of them. And I mean, Yoruichi is just like top tier character. I love Yoruichi. Taikubo loves Yoruichi. She's amazing. I love her game play style. She's super fast, probably lower damage, but I think it also helps that she was one of the characters that we first saw like a full gameplay of her versus Shikai Ichigo. So we already have a good idea of how she plays, whereas like other characters here we have not seen in like a full gameplay yet. So there might be a little bit biased, but even without that, I think she definitely would be in my main 100%. I'm definitely going to be playing a lot of Yoruichi. She's super fast. She has some good ranged options. She has a great dash, it seems. And she's amazing. I love Yoruichi. And then following right behind her, of course, we have Soifon, who I would put in main 100% if Yoruichi wasn't on the roster, because I also love Soifon. Her 2 stabs to death mechanic in the game, I think, will be really fun in the first few weeks of launch where people don't know how to counter it. But to be honest, I kind of forgot how to do it already. I'm sure it won't be easy to pull off in game, but just the fact that they kept that in there is huge. I mean, I knew they would, but it's just insane to think that you could kill somebody if you land a certain series of attacks twice in one game. They just die and you just win. So I think with that being said, I'm going to say really excited. And honestly, I'm going to put her in front of Chad just because I think she's going to be really fun to watch. I think she could be really fun to play. She's again got that fast sort of play style like Yoruichi does. I think she's a bit more ranged than Yoruichi, and that's really exciting. And just the being able to kill your opponent in 2 hits in a fighting game is going to be super fun, potentially pretty toxic, but we'll just have to wait and see how easy it is to pull off. But next we have Byakuya, and Byakuya is probably my second favorite character in Bleach. I love his abilities so much, and I think they did a great job bringing his abilities to life in the game. So Byakuya is easily going to be my next character in main 100%. I think he might be a little bit more complex of a character to play. And he just has crazy, absurd range. His abilities look beautiful. They adapted all of his moves so well. I think it's a perfect adaptation for the game. I'm just a big fan of Byakuya. Not really much else to say about that. He's got good range. He's got decent moves. He's adapted perfectly, I think, to the game. So I'm excited to play him. He's going to be one of my top few characters. Next we have Kenpachi, who I know this feels like what Scorpion is in Mortal Kombat, like a Scorpion or Sub-Zero. I feel like people are going to play Kenpachi to death, and it's going to be really annoying. And I feel like, that being said, that makes me not want to play him, because I don't want to play characters that everybody else is playing to a certain extent. There are some characters later on this list that I'll talk about that I think a lot of people will be playing, but I will also be playing, and I'll make it my number 1 mission to be the best player playing that character. But Kenpachi, obviously he's really cool. He's sick. But I personally don't think I'll be playing him all that much. And when it comes to a fighting game, right? I mean, he is cool in Bleach because he exists without like much abilities, much like sauce. Obviously, he's farming aura all day long. But as far as like Ichigo has a Getsuga Tenshinriki has ice, and Renji has long thing. Kenpachi's just he's a freaking badass with a sword, you know? He doesn't really do too much. He doesn't have like very many abilities. So in a fighting game, I think I just want a little bit more than what he has to offer. Obviously, he's still really cool, and he's going to be going in looks good, and he's Kenpachi. So, you know, I would say he's probably at the end of looks good for me, though, just in terms of my own interest. I know that it's probably going to be a little controversial, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a little bit of the hipster in me. That's just like, you know, Kenpachi, everyone's going to be playing him. So he's by default a little bit less exciting for me. Kaname Tozen, here we go. So this is probably the first character on the flip side of this tier list where I'm going to put him in not so sure. Because, I mean, he doesn't have any of his like Arankar transformations like he did in the fake Katakura Town arc. He doesn't really have like his hollow evolution or anything. I feel like that would have been cool to put in there. He has his Bankai, which he uses once in the source material, I think, and it makes the screen around you like completely black except for like this little circle around you. And I'm just not sure how that's going to work. I mean, let alone online, and in terms of like toxicity or like how to get around it, but also like how does that work in local play? And I'm just not sure how that works. And even when you don't factor in his Bankai, his moves are just like, you know, they're pretty basic. It's hard to adapt some abilities that are based on taking your senses away when you're playing a fighting game. Pretty much the only sense you can take away is sight, and yeah, I mean, they did that. So it's not like they didn't do the character justice. I just wonder, could they have done more? Could they have made him look cooler? Could they have had any hollow abilities or anything in there? I'm just personally not super excited for him. But I am interested to see some good Tozen players and what they can do with them. And that Bankai is going to be a bit annoying to fight against. I can just tell. All right, next we have Gin, and Gin for the longest time, I think in the next stretch of characters here, Gin was who I was thinking was going to be my main for quite some time. I'm a huge Gin fan. I love his character arc and how like you don't really know what side he's on for a lot of the time until he does like his final move, and he's both like the silver fox and like the white snake, and I love his long ranged like venom bite. I love his you know, he's not like a reliable narrator when he's talking about the abilities of his Bankai. So I just like Gin as a character. I think having the extended sword versus the really short sword in a fighting game too can make for some really interesting mind games, because obviously he attacks really fast when he's up close, but then he also has really insane range. And I just like Gin. I think he's also going to be one of my mains. I will say so far out of my three mains, Byakuya is the one I'm not sure is going to stick around as much, because I think he might be the most complex out of these three so far. And also he kind of falls into that territory where I think a lot of people are going to be trying to play Byakuya. So it really depends on how he feels to me when I'm playing, if he'll continue to be in like my handful of characters. Next we have Izuru, who I think might be the biggest jump from like a character that he's like, oh yeah, he's like a C tier character. Like, okay, he's in the fighting game, that's cool. Versus like when I actually saw his abilities, I was like, oh shit, he actually looks really fun to play. So I think he had like the biggest discrepancy between like what I was most excited for, or like what I expected from the character versus like how I left after the trailer feeling excited to actually play him. So I think he's going in really excited. I really like that he has the tether where he can like pull people close. He has the other move where he can freeze people in place. And then obviously his awakening being Wabisuke. Wabisuke being one of the sleekest Shikai designs in Bleach, and it weighing the person down, making them really slow and take more damage. I think there can be some really cool sauce with Izuru, and I'm really excited for him. I might swap to him every now and then just to switch things up for a little bit. He's pretty cool. I like Izuru a lot. Somewhat on the other hand, Toshiro is the prime example of I'm going to piss off some people here. A character that's really popular, and I don't know why. I'm not a hater of Toshido by any means. Don't get me wrong. But he's just not nearly as cool as I think people make him out to be. Like he's some I know he's a prodigy. I know he's really skilled in the source material, but just as far as like his abilities and stuff, yeah, it's ice, it's an ice dragon. I see why it's cool on paper, but just to me, I'm not sure. Like I don't know. I'm pretty neutral about him. You know, I'm sure he can do some cool things. I don't think I'll ever really touch him that much. I think this is again another example of I think so many people are going to be playing him, and it's that hipster in me that I'm just like, you know, I think I'll leave him be for the most part. I'll probably pick him up here and there just because, again, I do respect Toshido. I like him as a character, but I'm just not entirely sure that I want to really play him. But yeah, next we have Rangiku. Rangiku is another character that I'm not sure. Like, you know, she's chill, she's cool, but it feels very much like a C character. Her and Izuru started off on like similar grounds, right? Like how I felt going into both of their trailers, but how I felt after watching both of their trailers, this is where I'd put them. Like Izuru really surprised me with what he could do, and Rangiku very much felt like, okay, this is a character to fill out the roster. You know, like I'm not super stoked to play her. Sorry, Rangiku. I mean, I do love Rangiku, but she's just not really up there on the list of cool characters that I would play. Hinako just feels like, again, a watered down version of Zenbo Zakura. So I'm sure she can do some cool things. Again, we're basing this mostly off of a 1 minute kind of trailer that showed off some of their abilities. So there might be some cool stuff with her. I'll definitely watch a good Rangiku player, but yeah, I'm not super excited for her by any means. Even less so than Tozen. Definitely feels like one of those characters that's just kind of on the roster because she has enough people that like her, but I certainly don't think I'll be playing her all that much. And then next we have Ichigo Bankai form. And of course, I mean, this is going to be one of those characters that I was just saying that people are going to be playing this character a lot, but that's not going to stop me from playing this character. You think I could like miss out on playing Bankai Ichigo where his awakening, his hollow mask, and then he can go full hollow form? You're crazy. You're crazy if you think I'm that much of a hipster to be like, oh, too many people are playing Bankai Ichigo, I can't play him. No, I have to be playing if I forgot if Kenpachi is like Sub-Zero and people play him, Bankai Ichigo is going to be like Scorpion. I know you would imagine like Shikai Ichigo to be like that, but I think Bankai, like 7 out of 10 people probably are going to choose Bankai Ichigo over Shikai Ichigo. Just what I think, and I'm certainly one of them. I can't lie. He's probably not going to be in my main 100% just because of that reason. Like everyone's going to be playing him, and I'm sure everyone will know how best to counter him. And everyone's going to have their own iteration of him. But I'm definitely going to be playing him a lot. Like he's sick, and I love that the most recent gameplay that came out showcased that when he's using the different costume of when he was fighting Grimmjow versus when he's fighting Ukiyoda, he has the different version of his hollow mask, which is actually really cool. Nice attention to detail on that. So, and the fact that he can turn into full hollowification is just the cherry on top. I mean, playing as that is going to be sick. How could you not play this character? I mean, I think some people might buy the game just to play that character. So, similarly speaking, Ukiyoda is one of those characters that I know a lot of people are going to want to play since he has both release forms in here. I mean, he's just one of the most popular characters in Bleach. Ichigo's debatably his best rival. I would still say Grimmjow is his best rival, but Ukiyoda's unarguably iconic. He's definitely going in really excited as well. I think maybe right below Bankai Ichigo, these two together. Segunda Etapa, it looks amazing. His abilities look cool. I'm definitely going to be picking him up and playing him, having him in my back pocket just for the looks at some points. But next we have Nell. And Nell, it's kind of similar to Izuru, where like when I saw that she was on the roster, I was like, okay, that's a good ad. I like it, but I wasn't expecting too much. But then again, watching her gameplay, I was like, oh shit, she actually looks really good. Her lance and her freaking poking people with it again is like one of those things that we didn't really see her use her lance all that much. So I'm excited to actually see it in a fighting game and be able to actually use it. So I left her trailer being pretty excited to play her, and I think I will. She'll be that character where I'm familiar with other people on the roster, and then like every I don't know, like every other day or every 2 days, I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot Nell's on the roster. Like, let me play her. So I think like she's somewhere in the middle of really excited. Um, yeah, I'm going to put her. I'm going to put her below Chad. Yeah, that feels right. That feels right. Yeah, I'm decently excited for her. I was surprised. Actually, I'm going to put her after Izuru because yeah, Izuru really surprised me. I thought he was just going to be like, oh, another Soul Reaper to fill out the cast, but no, he just feels really good. I shouldn't say feels, but he looks really slick and clean with the shit that he can do. Nell's still really really dope though. I'm excited for her. Grimmjow, obviously like the fast boy, the cheetah boy. When I first saw his trailer, I said, okay, this is a combo character. Like this is a combo demon. He's like Yoruichi, but just like the badass, like I don't know, angry version of it. So I think he has potential to go into my main 100% category. But I want to be pretty picky on what is going in here. But I will say I think he's at least right here for me. He could potentially, depending on how he feels to play, because this is another character that I know a lot of people are going to play, but depending on how he is, like some people might drop him. But it's weird because he definitely could be in the main 100%. Um, and I'm just gonna put him there because if he could be, this is based on excitement, not like who I'm going to main, just who I'm most excited for. I'm very excited for Green Zhao. There was just recent gameplay showcasing Green Zhao versus Ichigo from the demo event that happened recently, and it just reinforced that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this character. He looks fast as hell. Looks like he can do a lot of damage. His Keycon moves are like straight from the source material. Looks really good. I'm really excited for him. Mayuri is next, and Mayuri is interesting to me. I'm not sure if I got a very good idea of all the things that this character can do based on that 1 minute trailer. I know there have been some things since that like show him using like the extendo arm. I like that he has a move with Nemu. I believe if I'm remembering that correctly. Yeah. I'm not sure about the use of like poison and like the damage over time. I'm usually not super interested in characters like that, but I'll tell you what. The other day, the 1,000 Year Blood War Arc outfits that you get for ordering the Ultimate Edition were finally revealed, and one of his outfits is the sun suit from the 1,000 Year Blood War Arc. And I will tell you that single-handedly probably moved him from neutral to like really excited because I just want to wear that sun suit in a fighting game. I just it's legitimately that one aspect. I think I can't put him in really excited just based off of that. Because I want to say that I'm super excited for their like kits and everything kind of all together. But I will say I'll probably put him below below Rukia. Just the Sunsu makes me want to put him higher, but I think just in terms of like his overall character and his play style, I don't think I'll end up playing him that much. But man, I'm going to play him every now and then just to see that Sunsu. All right, next we have Aizen, and this is, I think, a character that a lot of people will pick up and try to play, but then will drop him as they realize how complicated or hard he is to play. Because this character is all about survivability and evolving over time. And it seems like you're going to have to play the long game like Aizen does in order to get the most out of this character. And I think that's just going to require a certain amount of skill to get the full potential out of Aizen. So I think a lot of people try to play him at the start of the game, and then a lot of people actually drop him. But the people that do stick with Aizen will be really, really good and really terrifying with Aizen. Of course, he gets basically all of his transformations, so it would be wrong to not put him in really excited. I think probably right under Ukiota works for me. I don't think I'll be playing him that much just because, again, I'm not that kind of character that has the patience to wait for my character to evolve and stuff like that. I want to get in there. I want rush down, or I want big, heavy attacks. And Aizen's just kind of not that type of character. But of course, I'm still going to try to play him every now and then. He kind of feels like in a similar spot to like a Kenshi or something, or like I know he's not a puppet character, but like a character that takes that much like attention to play, or just like the skill to play. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, we're basing this all off of like a 1-minute trailer. So, but yeah, really excited for him. Obviously, he's got all of his transformations, so how could you not be excited for him? We have Yamamoto up next, and again, I'm not so sure about Yamamoto. Like, of course, he had to be in here. He's the head captain. He's strong as hell. Obviously, I'm excited to play him, to see what's up with him. But once I kind of get over that initial interest, I don't think he'll be a character that I go back to very often, just because I don't know. He's fire, he's a fire old guy, like just not the most interesting character to me. But he does seem really strong. I've never been like a super duper big Yamamoto fan. His stuff in the Thousand Year Blood War arc is obviously amazing, but yeah, I'm just not sure. I'll definitely pick him up and play him, and he'll be a character that I probably put some time into for a little bit, but I don't think he'll stick around and be like one of my favorites, or really someone that I swap to very regularly. So I'm going to put him in looks good, and I'm going to put him like I even think I'll end up playing him less than Kenpachi, if I'm being honest. Just yeah, I don't know. He's cool. He's cool, but he looks good. I think that's the pure definition of looks good, but I probably just won't play him all that much. Next up, we have Shinji, and Shinji was, I think, the first one that when I watched the trailer, I was like, did they mess up this character? Because they didn't really show him using a lot of like what I figured would be his abilities. He still does have the mind games though, which I really like. But I think a lot of people were expecting some kind of like control reversal or something. Like he messes with your actual controls on like your controller and changes your inputs or something. And that's still not off the table, I think. But from what I remember, he had mind games in a different way, but I can't remember exactly how it was. I can't remember exactly what his mind games were, but they definitely were there, and it made sense for that character. And Shinji is one of my favorite characters. I definitely will be playing him. I'm excited. I think this is one of the characters that I want to see more of the most, just because I want to see what his full-on abilities are and how he actually plays in like a full-length match, because we did not get a very good picture of him in that 1-minute trailer. So for now, I think he's going to go and really excited, and I think he's even above Aizen because I do like him a lot, and I do have high hopes for him that they got his kit right, but I'm going to hold out on that hope. I think based off of that trailer, they just didn't really showcase it very well, but I do remember that he has the mind games, and he kind of makes you wonder what he's going to do next. Oh, I think it was it's either a counter or an attack. So he like goes into like a stance, and then he either chooses to attack, and then you might want to block, or he chooses like a counter. So if you try to attack him to get like a strike back, then he'll like counter you. I think that's what it was. So you kind of have to, you're kind of in like paralysis on like, do I attack? Do I not attack? Is he going to attack? Is he not going to attack? So I do like that he kind of still gets in your head. Next we have Xylapro, and yeah, I Xylapro is cool. He's an interesting character. I don't think I'm going to ever touch him. Really, I like the fact that he could be, he has the potential to like resurrect himself. Um, but there was no like, I don't really know what his abilities were from the source material that they took into this character. But I remember leaving that trailer thinking that they could have done him a little bit better. He's a cool pick, and I love his like character design. I love how horny he is and how flamboyant he is. But honestly, I'm tempted to put him the first one in Don't Want to Play. I think he was more of like a setup character, and you had to do a bunch of stuff to get things out of him. But I remember the big takeaway is that he could like self revive, and that's pretty cool. But I don't really see myself playing Xylapro at all. I at least see myself trying out these characters, but I remember Xylapro feeling like he's complex, and I just don't really like his move set, and just overall not a super crazy big fan of him. Like, he's all right, but I'm not like super invested in playing him. But next, we have the GOAT, my main 100%. If there was a tier above this, the one above all, he would go in it because Shunsui is my favorite character of all time. He's complex in this game. They did a really great job at putting his children's games into reality ability of his Shikai in the game with 3 different games that you can play with your opponent and buffs and debuffs depending on who wins that game. And you have to adhere to those rules too. So you're playing like a game within a game. And it's going to be so fun. I think he's going to be super complex. And again, I think this will be a character that a lot of people do want to play, but depending on how well or how long they stick with him, a lot of people might leave this character when they figure out that he's pretty complex or like you have to adhere to the game's rules too. I think a lot of people might ditch him because he doesn't have the cool flair of like a Zembo and Zakura or like the fast combos of like a Greamjaw or something like that. He's got the Beyblade spin, but this is more also like a Mind Games character. And again, Shunsui's just my favorite character in Bleach. I love his design. I love the dual Zanpakutos. I love the games. You have to build that like mental stack on the opponent for them to follow a rule as you're also fighting them and like teleporting and doing a combo on them and stuff. They have to keep so much in mind. You have to keep so much in mind. I think it'll be really challenging to play him, but also really rewarding when you do master him. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do with Shunsui. I'm really excited to play Shunsui. I'm afraid to play him day one, like when the game comes out, because I think trying to learn his games when I'm also learning just the mechanics of the game might be a little much for my brain. So I might go over to like someone like Yoruichi or Gin for the time being, or even, just like Ichigo or Chad or something like that. Someone that I think would probably be easier. And then when I get more familiar with using the game's mechanics, then decide to sink my teeth into Shunsui and really main him and get really good as him. But yeah, next we have Kamamura. Kamamura, a huge pick. I think Kamamura is super underrated in Bleach. I think I said that a lot during the trailer reaction for him. I love Wolfman. I love my big fluffy boy. He doesn't get much credit in Bleach. I think anytime that he appears on screen, you expect him to lose until Thousand Year Blood War arc stuff, obviously. But even then, he's still kind of lost. His Bankai is just, big hitbox, basically, that also does damage to the users. So you're kind of just like, why would you even use that? But in a fighting game, I think it has the potential to be really cool just to have this hulking Bankai over you that's doing all of your moves. He's got crazy range. He's going to hit like a truck, and that's exactly what I like in characters like that. Just the ability to have crazy range still and hit like a truck. I couldn't ask for much more. I imagine he might be a little bit slower than other characters, but I do think he is really excited. And in terms of actual long-term replayability, he might be at the top of really excited for me, or somewhere in the top 3, top 4. Like, I'm definitely going to play him more than Aizen. And in fact, I'm actually going to retroactively put Soyphone. Aizen's honestly like down here. He's at the bottom of real excited, just in terms of who I'm going to be playing. His sauce and his aura puts him in really excited, but I know that I'm not going to play him all that much. But yeah, Kamamura, I would say, is probably in 4th place and really excited. In terms of my play style, I know he's going to hit super hard, and his Bankai just being like a huge thing, manifestation right behind you for the rest of the game is going to be really fun. Just seeing all these things in like a 3D environment is going to be really interesting. He's another character that I think I'll probably swap in and out of playing regularly. Like, I'll have a month where I play him and then like kind of leave him for a little bit and then come back to him every so often. So I think right there's a good spot for him. Next we have Shuhei. Shuhei is probably one of the coolest. I love his Shikai more than I love like 80% of Shikais in Bleach. I wish that he got some better fights, but the one fight that he did get in the Fake Katakura Town arc carried his popularity to new heights. And I wish that he still got the respect of that level, especially in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. I feel like he could have fought and had some really cool fights. But in the game, he also looks really cool. He has a fear meter where the more damage you take, the more damage he does, I believe. So once he brings out the Shikai, I think it's going to be really fun to play him. There's spinning, it pulls him in. I like that it gives him a lot of range. So I'm also tempted to put him in main 100%. I think I'm definitely going to be playing a lot of Shuhei. This is another character that potentially a lot of people might pick up. And I think there will be a handful of people that play Shuhei. He kind of fills the same spot. I know I'm comparing it to Mortal Kombat, but that's just because it's the only other fighting game I play. Shuhei feels like the equivalent of like Noob Saibot to me. And I think that's a very apt comparison. Like Noob Saibot, whenever he's in a game, there's a handful of people that love him and will play him and main him. I think that's going to be the same thing with Shuhei. And they feel almost very similar in terms of like personalities or just aesthetics. But yeah, definitely. And Noob is one of the characters that I secondary in both MK11 and MK1. So I'm definitely excited to play him. I don't know if this list is in order up here. I'll probably go back and try to order my main 100% list. But we'll just go on to the next character. Ikaku. I left his trailer a little bit underwhelmed. I will be honest. He's like a stance character, and his signature moves and his spiritual pressure moves basically do the same thing, but the spiritual pressure move does more damage, I think. And I'm just trying to figure out like what the point of that is. Like, I definitely feel like he could have had some different moves. I like that he has his Bankai, though, as his awakening, because obviously we only get to see his Bankai once in the source material. So actually being able to fight with it is going to be pretty massive. I really enjoy that. I think I'll pick him up here and there just to see what he's like. I'll definitely be trying him out. But I don't know. Maybe if something comes out where like his stance... I know someone left a comment on that video of me reacting to the trailer that they think that the idea is to loop it, like, hopefully infinitely. Like, you go into a string, you end with that stance move, do some variation of that stance because there's like 2 different or 3 different moves that you can attack out of that stance, and then just try to loop everything because you can combo out of the stance too. So it'll go like light, heavy into the stance, light, heavy into the stance, and you just try to like keep the pressure up with them, which does sound pretty cool, but I don't see why you couldn't just block or get out of, or like teleport out of that, because it would be different if like one of the moves from them was like a grab or something, so that they had to guess every time if you were going to do like an attack or a grab or something. But they seem to just be 2 different forms of an attack. Like there's a dash attack or there's like a low sweep. So I'm not sure where like the mind games come with that. I'm thinking maybe if you do the dash and then throw out like a breaker to break their guard, maybe. But it's a hard character for me because he could be really cool. I just need to see a lot more gameplay. So with that being said, I'm going to put him in looks good, but I'm going to put him at the bottom of looks good just because I'm not sure exactly how he plays. And I know that there was just a full gameplay of that, him versus Shikai Ichigo released, but I didn't really see what made him super unique. And even in that gameplay, they did confirm that his Bankai has the red dragon that can charge up, but he didn't use it. So I don't know what it does. Or at least I think he didn't use it. He used a Keycon move where it showed the red dragon, but then after the Keycon move, it was still like the bar was still full and it looked like the dragon didn't like go off or anything. Because I thought in the source material it created like an explosion, but it didn't do that in the game. So I'm really confused on Ikaku still. I need to see more of him. But okay, yeah. Next we have Neutra, and Neutra, I got really hyped watching his character reveal trailer because again, he is probably like one of the definition of characters that I really like to play. He's got hyper armor, he's got unblockables, he's got insane range, and he looks goofy as fuck. I mean, he's wearing a spoon for a hood. Like he's so goofy, but he's so like menacing at the same time. His resurrection form is one of the coolest to me. I love how many arms he has. I love scythes as weapons, and for him to just have like four to six arms swinging all those things, he looks really cool. And plus, I think like the visual, looking at him, the visual noise that you're going to have going up against him is going to be so annoying sometimes because he just has six arms just doing all this in your face. Like you can't even really tell what's going on half the time. So yeah, he's back. He's also in main 100%. Hyper armor plus unblockables equals really fun time. I'm excited to try him out a lot. Haribel might be one of the biggest. I don't know. I know a lot of people are really hype for her because she's a really cool combo character, but I wonder why they chose her to be the combo character. Because from what we saw in the trailer, and I'm not sure what her signature moves are, but she didn't use like any water or anything, when I'm pretty sure that's what her ability is supposed to be, with her like melting Toshido's ice and like sending big tidal waves and stuff at her. Plus her whole theme is that of a shark. So it's just weird that she doesn't have any like water abilities, and I guess that came to fruition with Cayenne, but we didn't know that at the time. And it just feels like they didn't quite get her down from like translating it from source material to the game. But some of you might disagree, and I'm open to hearing reasoning on that. But from what I remember of Haribel and just like what I was expecting of her trailer, it really took me in a different direction. I would say she's definitely I'm more like excited for her than like Tozen and Rangiku, and I would say even Toshido. But I'm not sure if she's like, because Udio, at least obviously he does his job. He's a ranger. He's a Quincy. Like he does what he's meant to do. Haribel just kind of, I'm like, I wonder why they went this way with her rather than any water-based attacks. But all right, next we have Coyote Stark. And Stark, one of the most coldest Espada ever. Again, a zoner. And what I said about Udio being a pure zoner, and I'm not sure if that's the type of play style that I want. I don't care, but he's going in main 100%, baby. I don't care. He's got guns, all right? That's different than this freaking nerd shooting arrows over here. Get with the fucking times. Use pistols, all right? I mean, Stark is just cool as fuck. I don't know what else to say. I love that he fires rapid Setos. It might be a little bit biased that his fight is against my favorite character, now that I think about it. But nonetheless, I do like gun users in fighting games or just in media in general. So, and plus in his Awakening, he actually does get the swords. But I think he's also going to be a bit more complex than a lot of people will think he is, because you actually have to charge his bullets for the most part, other than like his spiritual pressure moves. So I think Again, a lot of people might play him for a little bit, but then a lot of people will drop him as well. But he's going to be super annoying as a zoner. I just know he's going to be super annoying as a zoner. I'm really excited for Stark. Sorry, Udio, I maybe placed him a little bit too harshly, but when you put both of these people on the base roster, I'm always going to choose Stark as a zoner over Udio. Sorry, he's just so much cooler. And last but certainly not least, Cayenne Chiba, the one that surprised us all. I was really not expecting it to be Cayenne Chiba. If anything, I was expecting Aden Yeto, but I'm glad that it's Cayenne Chiba. I'm glad that we get to see Soul Reaper Cayenne Chiba with his Shikai, a Shikai that we've only seen like once in the fight versus Rukia, and he doesn't even really use it that much. This was a big surprise for me, and it was a very pleasant surprise too. I like his abilities. I think he'll be a really good beginner character that has a special condition, so that you can get used to the concept of having special conditions and like a gauge that you have to be paying attention to. Because I think it fills up as you hit them, and then it makes your attacks do more damage or hit more. So I think it's a very intermediate character that'll help take you from like someone that's just playing Shikai Ichigo to like someone that has a special condition and a gauge and how to fill that up. So I think it's good that we have like someone to bridge the gap of like easy to play versus hard to play characters. So I'm really excited for him actually. This was a huge surprise for me. I would say probably, man, this got hard near the end here. This is hard to. He's in really excited. I'm not sure if he's above or below Izuru. Or above Chad even. Okay, I think he's above Izuru, but is he above Chad? No, there's something about just punching, like Chad of all people, just being a guy with the freaking hollow arm, just punching people, like punching full release Aizen or a spot of number 1. It's just going to be so fun to look at. So I think this is a good place for him. I'm really excited for him. I'm sorry, Xyolapro. I have nothing against you, I promise. I'm even sorry for Rangiku and Tozen. I have nothing against you guys. Anyone that I placed on this list, again, this is just my opinion. I'm totally down to discuss who you guys are most excited for. In fact, if you guys want, you can join my Discord. I'm trying to get that up and running with a lot of new Bleach stuff because I do want to cover this game a lot. By the time it comes out, I hope to have a bunch of videos on it, and I'm going to be streaming it on YouTube and on Twitch. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow over on Twitch. But this, I think, is my final tier list here. This top main 100% is probably not fully accurate. Like, I think as much as I love Byakuya, him being my second favorite character, in terms of gameplay, he's probably a little bit lower on the list. Like Neutra is up here. Neutra is probably third. He's for sure, he's just so definitively my playstyle. Shunsui's carried so hard by the fact that he's my favorite character of all time, and I like how well they adapted his kit into the game. Yoruichi being super fast, super rushdown, Gin having really good range and really good up close speed. Grimmjow being a super good damage character as well. I feel like I'll end up having to like decide between Grimmjow and Yoruichi because they feel like they occupy the same space for me. And then Shuhei again is like he'll probably be like lower on the list of my handful of characters that I play regularly. And a character like Stark will probably be in a moment or like a time that I want to lock in and actually use my brain a little bit more, despite him just being a zoner. I think he'll take a little bit more skill. Like these two, Shunsui and Stark, I think will take a little bit more brain power to actually do well with, because you can't just spam with Stark. And Shunsui, you have to be thinking about your games and the rules of those. And I think like Gin, Shuhei, Neutra, I think those will be like the characters that are somewhere in between where I don't really have to think that much, but I'm trying a little bit. And Yoruichi and Grimmjow are kind of just like the rush down, get in there, try to beat him up as much as possible. And that's where like Byakuya feels a little strange to me. Maybe I need to rewatch his trailer, but he seems like a very good, well-rounded person. Really depending on how he feels, he will stay up here. But I'm just not sure. But these, let's see, how many characters is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters are definitely going to be some of the characters that I always go back to. I'm always like, yeah, let's pick this character up again. Whereas the really excited characters, I'm like, yeah, I will pick these guys every now and then just to have like some variation. And again, this is all kind of subject to change too once I actually get my hands on the characters. How they feel is obviously a really important part of who I'm like excited to play at the end of the day. But this is just based off of what little we've seen about them so far. But I'm pretty happy with this list. I feel bad that maybe like someone like Rukia is placed so low, because I do really love Rukia. And even like Kenpachi, you know, like he's such an iconic character. But just in terms of like actual gameplay and playstyle, he's just like, you know, pretty basic. Same with Ichigo. I think there's a reason why these two are so close together for me. Ikaku's only placed down here for confusion reasons. He might be really good. And then some characters I think rode in on here on their coattails just by like sheer level of iconicism, like Ukiota. I wonder how much I'm actually going to end up playing Ukiota once, like, I don't know, I get comfortable with other characters and like I see how many people are actually maining Ukiota. But yeah, this is the tier list, guys. Let me know what you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if you at all agree with this list or if you disagree. Who are you most excited to play? And I think that'll about do it for this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun jazz. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.